Hello, everyone, and good evening. Thank you for welcome to the Christina Nelson Show, where we motivate, inspire, and heal. And tonight is no different. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching on YouTube and on Facebook. Share and like, and also don't forget to subscribe to the Christina Nelson Show on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and ask a friend. So tonight we are going to I'm going to interview a young lady who I've known for quite some time now. I've never met her in person, but I have grown to love her like a sister. You know, some of these people that you meet on Facebook, we were in a group together, a singles group, and we met and we clicked. And from then on, we've always become good friends. And I know that I love her. I know she loves me. And we one of those things where you don't have to speak every day, you know, but you still know that person is there. And so when she put this book out up here called Up in Smoke, right, by Kea Emerson, I was like, what? She done went and wrote a book, and not like a motivational book like you expect everybody to write, right? Like the devotionals and everything. But she wrote a novel, and it's a murder mystery, and it's good. And I'm read some of it already, and I'm already intrigued, and I'm already like in my spare time reading it. And I'm also at work in the in the break room, like, let me read some of this book because it's good, and I gotta find out who done it, who did it, what happened, how this happened. So everybody, don't forget to like I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And without further ado, I'm going to bring Miss Kea Emerson on right now. Hey, Kea.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Good.
So, Kea,
hi, Christina.
So tell everybody where you're from, who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the city of brotherly love. And I am 46 years old. I'm a nurse. I also have a couple of side businesses, but predominantly, I'm a nurse. I work in long-term care. I work in rehab. I am wound care certified, hospice and palliative care certified. But so much of who I am and what I do is nursing. But yes, I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, born and raised.
Born and raised. All right. Yes, from Philly. That we have some of our members of the huddle who are from Philly themselves, and so that would be awesome. But born and raised in Philadelphia, and you are a nurse, and I find that interesting. And I was like, everybody, people will soon find out why I find that interesting that you're a nurse, because you know, of this book. I hold it like this because, as guys, I'm telling you, you have to get this book. It's a really good book. We had somebody else already. I know you got the message. She said, I bought the book from me. I'll put it on my page. She's like, I bought it. She likes
it. Yeah.
Like, who did it? This is the book to get. And so let's talk about, first of all, how you got to write a book. Like, was it always something that you always wanted to do? Did you always say, I want to write a book?
I've been writing since I was like 6 years old. Quite honestly, it's something that I've always done. When I was little, I would tear pages out of a notebook and I would fold them in half, and I would draw pictures and my title, and I would staple them together and do all that stuff. And so I can honestly say that I've been writing for as long as I can remember. And the things that I would draw and write about would just whatever, would come to mind. So if I was in the mood to write something like magical, or I would write about that. If I was in writing something about love or whatever, I would always write that. So I've been reading and writing for a very long time. It's just that but to answer your question, yes, I've always wanted to write at least one book. And part of the reason that I love to write is because I love to read. I'm a reader, voracious reader by nature. And from the time I could read, I was always asking my mom, can I have books? Can I have money for books? And you remember those scholastic book fairs? And I would beg my mom, please give me like $10, $15, which was not a little bit of money back in the 80s, to give a child for these scholastic book fairs. But that was like, take me to the bookstore, take me to the book fair, take me to the book section. So I was always a little square from the time I was very small. But sometimes being a voracious reader makes you a nitpicky writer, and it makes you a perfectionist, as a writer. And so that was one of the things I had to try to shake, is that perfectionism, wanting everything to be perfect.
Wow. Yeah. Even I remember I loved books too. Always loved books. And I just never got the courage to actually just write something. And I think, and this is a good question to throw out before I get in there. I think when you're a Christian, people always expect, like I said, the devotionals or the self-care books or something of that nature, right? How to blah 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 blah, what to blah blah.
Right.
And you didn't go that route. What made you write this type of book?
My first experience with any Christian writing was poetry. I'm also I have done spoken word and poetry, and that was my first experience with any Christian writing. And I have published something, I think in like 1995, a long time ago. But so that's the only thing I've ever really published that was spiritual, was poetry. And but to your point, a lot of people expected that. A lot of people said, you're an ordained elder, this, you preach, you teach, why would you not write a book about how to pray or how to fast or a daily devotional? And this is the truth of God. I tried to write that stuff. I did. I would sit down when I would scratch out an outline, and I would not have enough content to flesh it out into a full book. Okay. And so I kind of felt that the way I see the Lord and the way I see God, and this is not to take away anybody who writes these kinds of things, God is a simple God. And when I would write a devotional, or when I would try to write a book about, principles for prayer or power and things like that, it was really simple. And I would just condense it to like maybe a workshop or something like that. And but I tried, but there was just no, for lack of a better word, there was no content in me for that. But because I read all kinds of books, I began to write other kinds of books. Okay. And that was the expectation. People were like, what kind of book is this? This is not a book about prayer and fasting. This is not a book about, virtue and things like that. This is a murder mystery. Yeah.
But I loved it when you posted it and I saw it and it's Up in Smoke, and I was like, Up in Smoke, like everyone else. My assumption was, it's some type of self-help or motivation book, and it's going to be. But the title made me go,
"What different?"
Up in Smoke, like what's she talking about? Fire by day, fire by night. What's going on? And when I saw it and I read, what it was about, I was like, oh, she done flipped it on us. Okay.
Right.
And I liked it because you took yourself out the box. You took out the box. Yeah. You just started to just write what you loved. And I think that that's important. And I think that that's really good. And to let people know that they can write books that are just books and fun to read.
Right.
I love books. I've always loved to read, and I've always loved to be taken away into someone else's, what they're dealing with, and is the type of book that you can read and just be like, wow, let me go here with this person. Let me find out, who would I be in this book? I always put myself as
Right, right,
in one of the
right.
I just do. Who am I in this type of book? A lot of the book was relatable, what I've read so far. I relate to the character, the mother.
Right, right, right.
I can relate to her having kids, having one father,
Right.
choosing the wrong man. I can relate to that. I'm telling you guys, this is juicy stuff. Y'all better
Yeah,
get this
right.
book. But the premise of the book, okay, so it's called Up in Smoke. What besides what the book is about, can you give us something about what the book is about?
The book is based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, not just because that's all I know, but because I love it. Philadelphia has a beautiful side and a beastie side, and those of us who are from the area can relate to that. Excuse me. So when it comes to the beauty of the city, if you read through some of the opening chapters, you will see that I really did try my best to convey those beautiful aspects of our city, the landmarks, the historical context,
Yeah.
the restaurant, the cheesesteaks and the restaurants and the nightlife and the academia. I really tried to portray Philadelphia for the beautiful city that it is. Also, Philadelphia has, as beautiful as it is a big city, and like all major cities, it has its dark side. It has its criminal element. It has its crime element. It has people like an overworked police force and social working force and healthcare workers. Everybody's kind of strained because there's so many people in one place. And I had to be honest about that. And not only because that's the premise of the whole book. The book is based on a crime that takes place in the city of Philadelphia. But I didn't want it to be all dark and all, I wanted to show that there's a lot about Philadelphia to love.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to do, there's a lot to eat, there's a lot to see. Even for those who have lived here our whole lives. There's still I'm 46 years old and there's still a lot that I've not seen. If I took one of the bus tours today or tomorrow, there would still be something that I was like, oh, okay, and there are a lot of things that it's just it's like a Bible almost. Every time you open it, you see something different. And so when you're in Philadelphia, no matter how many times you've been here, you will see something different. You will encounter something unique or someone unique. There's no one fashion statement. There's no one race. There's no one religion. It is truly a melting pot, similar to New York City in that regard. And what I like though, that kind of correlates here is the justice system, Philadelphia's finest, and you have the criminal justice system. You have Philadelphia's finest. You have all the big buildings downtown that take care of the social work and DHS and all those things like that, and the brave men and women that deal with that every day, all day. So what I wanted to convey was that Philadelphia it has its criminal element, but it is indeed a beautiful, enchanting place to be and visit or live or whatever you want to do. But like they say, you can take the girl out of Philadelphia, but you can't take the Philadelphia out of the girl.
So what is the actual premise of this book?
Okay. This book is based on a young man who is about 19 years old, graduating from high school, and he is going to college on a full basketball scholarship. He is looking forward to his future outside of the hood, looking for his future as growing into his own manhood, being the product of a single parent. And this young man goes to sleep one night in July. Okay. He wakes up and his house is on fire, and he does what he can heroically. I have an excerpt that I'll read if we have time.
Absolutely.
And we have this gentleman who wakes up and his house is on fire, and he doesn't have time to think. His first instinct is to get his family members out of the house. He's the oldest of 7 children. And so he's doing his best to get everybody out of the house, including children as young as 2 years old, and himself and his mother and all of his siblings to get him out of the house. The next thing he remembers, he's in a hospital. And then he encounters the RN, who's like kind of the the co-person and the co-pilot, I guess, in the book. And this RN has also suffered quite a bit of tragedy in her life, but of course that remains to be seen over the course of the novel. Her life begins to unfold and unveil and peel back like onion layers. And when it comes to it, nobody can figure out who would do this to this family and why they would do this to this family.
Yeah.
And even from the excerpts, it is clear that everybody didn't make it out of this fire. So we have a fatal arson, a fatal fire that took place in this North Philadelphia community. And you'll see in the book how the community pulls together, how the detectives work really hard to try to figure out what happened to the family. And so the premise of the book is the whodunit, if you will, is why would someone attempt to kill this seemingly innocent family, and who did it and why? Why would somebody do this? It is clear from as you read through it that this was not a random eeny, meeny, miny, mo, let me set this house on fire kind of a thing. Someone had an intent. And as you read through it, you'll begin to figure it out. But I did get a review back.
Okay.
And that person said to me, "You kept me guessing to the end." So fair warning, you will not be able to read the first chapter and say, "Oh, I know who did it."
Before the show started, I told you, I read something and I said, he could easily be the person, but I bet you it's not. And so I said, I'm going to keep reading, because no way would she reveal anything that quick. It was just too, it was too easy to know.
Right.
I don't know. She's smart. A good murder mystery is not going to reveal somebody that quick. And I knew that it would probably be something that, twisted at the end. And I gotta keep reading. I gotta find out what's going on here. So I guess that's the premise of the title, Up in Smoke. Like
Up in Smoke, because the reason we call it, or I called it Up in Smoke, is because he had his future all planned out, all lined up, full ride to a basketball scholarship. He was going to make his way to the pros. He was going to take care of his family. He was going to set everybody up. He was going to kind of pay his mother back for all her sacrifices over the years that she made for him and his siblings. He was going to take care of his grandmother and everybody. He was going to give back to his community. Like, he had it all planned out. And then he wakes up and everything is gone. His home, his family as he knew it, his appearance as it was, all of that gone in one night. So that's why we call it Up in Smoke.
Right. I think you had him going to Temple. Was it?
Yes. Yes. Go Owls.
I like how you kept the Philly in there. Like,
Yes.
He's going to go to Temple on a basketball.
Yep.
It was just, you go through these characters. So far, I met his mother and Charity.
The nurse.
So now we know your background is nursing. I know
right
before you write books, and you have to do extensive research because you want to be right, you want to be correct. And so because you're from Philly, you knew how to throw Philly in there, its historical content and all of that good stuff. And then all of a sudden now we have this nurse, Charity. And I know you're a nurse, and so you have this background. So I know that was part of that. That wasn't hard for you.
Well, honestly, it was a bit of a challenge because it's different. I've never worked in a burn unit. I've never worked in a trauma environment. So there was a little bit of research that I had to do about burns and how they're treated and how they are categorized. Okay. Like the percentage of nines and all these different formulas that are used to treat burns. So because I don't have experience with burns. And so that is something that I had to do some research about, never having worked in a trauma unit. And I know that there's somebody somewhere who has worked in a trauma unit, or who has worked as a burn specialist, or someone who has even worked on the police force and might say, this is not how that goes. This is not how any of that works. And I'm okay with that. The idea is to tell a story. as I saw it. Not if you tell a story the way it will go, it would be very you know, if you be all technical and if you get into the jargon and the technicalities of every little thing, you're gonna get a boring book.
Yeah.
It's not about the, you know, oh, she calculated the formula of nines wrong. That's not the point. The point is to tell this story of this tragedy that has happened to this family, but to bring all the parties into the same environment. That means the fire marshal, that means the detectives, that means the family, that means the medical staff. And in order to bring everybody into the same environment to discuss the case and to bounce ideas and progress notes and things off each other, I had to bring all those worlds together. And there are some people who might say this is not how any of that works. And that's okay. But what I want to do is tell a story from multiple perspectives.
Okay.
And that was the goal. So everything may not be perfect with the police jargon. Everything may not be perfect with the medical terminology. But that was one of the things that I wanted to push past, was that procrastination, because everything has to be perfect. Everything has to make absolute, you know, everything has to be linear and make all these. That's what delays our progress and our processes, is when we want things to be perfect. As I go through the writing and make more books, I will get better. You know I will. But the point was to take this chance, to take this leap of faith, put what I feel is my gift out there for people to consume and not get caught up in that little stuff.
Yeah.
It's not, if you read it, you'll see that those things are just, the reason is just to bring everybody into the same story and tell their multiple perspectives.
I like that.
So like, as they say, the enemy of progress is perfection, you know. And as I read through, when I was reading, because when I got my proof, when I got my my hard copies, I looked through and I found a couple of grammatical errors, like, oh, that period should be here, you know. I did. But if you love a good story, those things won't matter, because if you're going to read a book just to take your red pen and go through a book, then why are you even doing it? Why are you even, are you an English teacher or are you a consumer?
You know what she meant. It's like when somebody sends you a text and they write the wrong word, you're like, but you know what I meant. You know exactly
right, what I meant. Right. It's not even necessary to correct it. We know what you meant, LOL. Right.
So I get it. And that's not, like you said, the point is to bring everybody together and write this story, and tell this story.
Right.
But why this particular story? Why this particular type of novel?
Well, I have I can write many genres. Honestly, okay. I have literally 8 projects right now.
Okay.
And they're all different genres. Well, I have 2 crime fiction. I have 2, this one and another one that I'm working on next. But I also have contemporary fiction. I have historical fiction. I have young adults, or what we call YA. So I have multiple ideas. I have a book of poems. It is important for me not to be pigeonholed. A lot of times when you're trying to build a brand or you're trying to make a name for yourself, you write the same type of books trying to establish an audience. And I may be shooting myself in the foot when I'm doing this, but I don't want to pigeonhole myself. I can write anything, glory to God. And I want to put it out there, whatever inspiration, whatever story God puts in my heart, whatever comes to my mind, I want to write it. And it doesn't matter if it's not crime fiction. It doesn't matter if it's historical fiction. It doesn't matter if it's poetry. It's whatever inspiration I get. I am at a place in my life where I'm going to act on that inspiration, and I'm going to stop waiting and sitting on my gifts and stop procrastinating, waiting for things to be perfect. Because, you know, when you're trying to build a brand, you think, oh, I need a website and I need an agent and I need this and I need that. And that is when I just over the summer, I just made it, because I know you had asked me earlier about when I started the book, and I'm almost embarrassed to say, long time ago. But over the summer, I made up my mind and purposed in my heart that I would not waste another minute. And I went to work from 9 to 5, and I wrote the book from 5 to 9. And when it was finished, I put it out there.
Wow.
And I was like, yes, it would be nice to have an agent and a website and assistant and, you know, all these things that you think you should have as you're building a brand, and to have logos and memes and, you know, fun things. I'm not even that great with technology, to be honest with you. So it's a challenge for me to advertise and all those things. And, but I know that your gift makes room for you. If you put yourself out there, if you take that leap of faith, God will do the rest. I believe that he will send me the people that I need who are good at the things that I'm not. He will send me the inspiration. He will send me the consumers, people who want to consume what he has given me.
Yeah.
You know, just like there are people who are called to preach and teach and all those things. If you know, if you build it, they will come.
That's true. That's very true. What about, like, okay, so I always ask this when somebody writes a book. People have names for characters and everything like that.
Yeah.
What was your, okay, for instance, and I always think I know the answer, right? So, for instance, Charity. Charity, know what Charity means, and she's a nurse.
Right.
And so what was the premise for that name? I love the name Charity, first of all,
Right.
but was that the whole thing? Was like, she's a nurse, she's charitable, she gives.
Right. That was a way of me giving her a character trait without flat out saying it. And she is charitable. She is giving and loving and supportive and warm. And I wanted to give her a name that reflected that. When it came to the other characters, like Carter, like Sabrina, like his siblings, I just, like I said, when God inspires me, I just write it down. Okay. And I don't always know the meaning of everything that he gives me, but there are some names that you might recognize, like there's an Emerson in the book. When you read further, you'll see there's an Emerson. I put my daughter's name in the book. She's a minor character as my way of, paying a little homage to her. Yeah. And so there are some of the names of the people. You will say, oh, that's, I understand why this person's name is what it is. But the biggest thing for me, honestly, was to try to use the names of people I didn't know, because I didn't want anybody to think that, I was, trying to use their name. Now, I do know a few Sabrinas, so there was no way around that. But but that was the story about the names. I just, as God, like I wanted, like, for example, the family who was traumatized by this fire, their last name is Stone. Yeah. That was intentional. I wanted to portray a family that was rock solid, a family that, even though the mother is single, she has her ducks in a row and she has her life together, and her children are not all over the place. They're not wayward. They are strong. They are united. They work as a team. And you'll read, as you read through some of Carter's flashbacks, you will see that. But yes, the last name for the family that was traumatized is, I call them Stone, and that was intentional.
I like that. See, now that part I didn't pick up. I did not. Like, that's the type of reader I am. I like to pick up on little things like that. I will say, and I know I'm not the inspiration, but there was a certain Latina nurse named Christina up in there, and I was like,
oh no, Christina too. I know a few Christinas. Yes.
So I saw that name. I was like, I know I wasn't the inspiration. My name is
yes. Yeah.
I love Carter's flashbacks, and it shows his human side.
Right.
Like, he was really a good kid. And I say that to say this, because without giving too much away, but when he's in a hospital, he's very distraught. He's very angry. Right.
Yes.
And the nurse Charity is like, oh, I can't stand this
guy.
Right.
Right.
And so when they begin to tell you all about him, oh, he had a scar. She was like, that is not the same guy.
Right. Right.
He is not that. He was mean to me, but it shows that what trauma could do to a person and how it can change someone.
Yeah. And that is something that, as a nurse, I do have experience with. And I do see people at their worst. And when we encounter them, they are angry, they are frustrated, they are sad, they're devastated. And then they sometimes they treat the healthcare workers accordingly. And then once, things kind of stabilize, they say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, to come at y'all like that, but I was in pain and I didn't know what to do, so Carter in the beginning, the emotion and the pain and emotion that he is in is something that I have firsthand experience with when I deal with residents, patients, clients who have been traumatized, devastated. They've been operated on. They've been in car accidents and brain injuries and all kinds of things that happen to people, which alters their personality for a moment. And neither of us can say for sure how we would react in a similar situation. There's times when we see, like, when we encounter people who have been cheated on by their spouses and things like that, and do we expect a Christian response? Do we expect a holy, sanctified response, or do we expect someone to be real and say, "This is I don't feel like I'm saved right now. I could kill somebody right now."
Mm-hmm.
And I think God wants us to have that honesty. He wants us. There's nothing too ugly for him. Yeah. So whatever we're dealing with, he can handle it. But that's the purpose of how he's in the beginning. He's traumatized. He's traumatized.
Yeah, he's traumatized, but we also see the goodness in him too. And
right.
Kid he loves his mother.
Right.
He loves his family.
Mm-hmm.
That I saw the parts where they all worked together,
mm-hmm.
and they were just really a good family, and no one could say anything bad. You know how you watch news, and this is to bring you guys into the light here. When you watch news and something happens, and everybody says he was such a good kid.
Right.
Her, and that's what it made me think of that. I had that in my vision. Like the news people going up and saying, "Oh, well, he had to have been on drugs, or she."
Right.
Drugs, and maybe
digging for that story, and they're
like, "Oh, sorry, that's not them."
Right.
Everyone loved her. Everyone loved him. He was a good person. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, and nobody wants to see that maybe is a possibility that maybe they were just really good people, and bad things happen to good people.
Good people,
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I like that premise, that whole thing. Bad things do happen to good people, but this is why. And soon I'm hoping to find out. I might have to those nights where you just stay up and just be glued to the book. Look, I gotta find out what's happening here.
Right.
When I read a book, I like to picture it and I actually can see like a movie. Like, if this was a movie,
right?
How would this be playing out right now? I see the character, I can see their faces, see everything. That's when you know that the author has written something really good, because I can picture it in my head about what's going on. I have a one, when you were talking about different genres, one of my favorite authors, her name is Victoria Christopher Murray. And she at first was known as a Christian fiction person because she wrote, all her people were church people.
Right.
Evangelists and pastors, and that got into scandal and
everything. Right.
And recently she started writing historical things. She wrote a book about this one Black woman who was a librarian to Chase, the guy who has Chase Bank, and she was passing for white. She was Black, but she was very. And she wrote this historical novel with a Caucasian woman. Did all this research and everything, and I'm like, wow. So she was a Christian fiction person. Now all of a sudden she is this historical person.
Historical fiction, right.
I don't know. She had a couple of movies on Lifetime called they were the 7 Deadly Sins, and TD Jakes. TD Jakes promoted this, and she greed and lust and all this kind of stuff. So she turned these, and they became TV shows and everything. And I'm like, oh, this will be great. Look, I would. I always speak that over to people that,
Right. I'll cast you as Christina.
I'll be Christina. I just want to be Latin first. If you want me to be Latin, I could be Latin, okay? I'll go with a little accent and hey, Papi up in
Yes. But that is every writer's dream. Like that is how people say, oh, when you play sports, you want a ring, and when you do acting, you want an Emmy or an Oscar or something like that. when, as a writer, to see your stuff on the big screen is like, there's nothing greater. No matter, it doesn't have to win a whole bunch of awards and all those things like that. Just to see what you see on a big screen, or even a streaming, or whatever it is quite an accomplishment. And I don't know any writer that would say no. That's the goal. That's the goal. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with her, she said she didn't want to pigeonhole herself either. And
Right.
She didn't want to be known as a Christian fiction writer, because she was like, oh, that wasn't my intent really to make a Christian fiction. It was just having to be Christians, and it was a fiction book. Or she said someone marked her work as she writes about Black people. She was like, oh, well, I'm Black, so I write books about
our experience. Right.
That's what I know. And so
right.
you want to be pigeonholed, but yet again, she said, this is what I know. And so you being from Philly and being a nurse and just tapping into things that you know is wonderful. It's remarkable. So you said you have an excerpt. So
yes, I do. I have an excerpt that I put that I wanted to read, and just to kind of set it up a little bit. Carter Stone he woke up in the hospital, as I had mentioned earlier in the opening of the book. He wakes up in the hospital. He's giving the nurses and the medical staff a hard time. He doesn't understand what's going on. He is sedated, medicated, and he wants to know what has happened to him and what has happened to his family.
Okay.
So it's on page 6. And Dr. Morton is the doctor who is one of the department heads in the trauma unit. Dr. Morton knew from his many years of experience with combative patients, especially those who have experienced this level of trauma, you don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with water. Although he was furious at the scene he just walked in on, he spoke to Carter in the softest, warmest tone that he could muster. He spoke slowly, and he chose his words carefully. My name is Dr. William Morton, and this is Everly. She is also a nurse. He motioned toward the young lady in the room. She is one of the most skilled nurses that I have, and we are all working very hard for you and your family. I want to keep you alive, and I want to help you recover from your injuries completely, young man. You want to know what happened to you? I will tell you what happened to you. Listen carefully. He pulled over a stool and he sat down. A horrendous fire happened to you. Life-threatening trauma happened to you. That's what. Dr. Morton clenched his jaw and paused and shook his head in amazement. But you, young man, you are a warrior. You fought like a champion. Even through various levels of consciousness, you survived. You fought like a champion and you got heart. I got to take my hat off to you. Your surviving family members would not be alive if it wasn't for your love, your courage, and your bravery. For their sake, even if not for your own, they need you. You lived, and now you must keep fighting through your recovery. Whatever you do after you leave this hospital, that's on you. But while you're here, I want to do everything in my power to help you. However, it's your life and it's your decision. You can leave if you want to. He stood and stepped closer to Carter. Take a good look at your body. Do you see all those bandages? Think about how much pain you're in right now. Will walking out of here make that pain go away? Will walking out of here right now make anything better? He pointed in the direction of the hospital's exit and said, you walk out that door right now, do you know what's waiting for you? More pain, infections, disfigurement. He waved his finger up and down Carter's body, indicating his limbs, nerve damage, loss of use. He pointed to his head, cognitive challenges, memory loss. He crossed his arms. Need I say more? Your family members are fighting for their lives with everything they have in their little bodies and souls as we speak. But you're in here attacking my staff and giving up. They need you to be strong. So he paused and said, what's it going to be? Carter sat back on his pillow. He waited and hated this doctor. He hated that the nurse ran out of the room. He hated the other nurse that was standing in the room looking at him like she felt sorry for him. He hated God. something terrible happened and nobody would shoot straight with him. And that was not a good sign. He looked around the hospital helplessly, all the bland tones of beige and white surrounding him. The TV above his head was off and there was no remote. The room was silent for a few moments. Besides his own heart pounding in his ears, the only sound he heard was the hospital staff in the hallway, the constant beeps and purrs of all the machines in the room. And then he glanced to his right and saw that the adjacent bed was empty. Where's my mom? Where's my brothers and sisters? Carter asked as calmly as he could. If you allow us to help you, we can give you all the information we have, but you won't be any good to yourself, your family, or anybody else if you die in that bed because you were too stubborn to let us help you recover. What's it going to be? What day is it? What time is it? It's Saturday, July 7th. Dr. Morton checked his watch, 1:13 p.m. Well, what about the TV? Do I got to pay for it or something? Dr. Morton shook his head. Don't worry about the TV. TV is not a good idea right now. Carter said nothing. His jaw clenched and he had no memory. For several moments, he tried to search his memory, to search his mind for what happened, but he couldn't determine anything that made any sense. Seeming to not have any choice, finally, he rolled his eyes in defeat and sat back on the pillows. He held out his arms as if he was being handcuffed. There we go, Mr. Stone. That's more like it. Thank you for cooperating. And Dr. Morton quickly checked his phone and turned to leave the room. Everly, please see to it that Mr. Stone gets cleaned up, his IV gets started back up. I'll send someone in here to help you now. I think I'm going to change his prescription for his pain medications, and I think I'm going to add a new one for anxiety too. Let me think about it for a moment, and I'll write it down as soon as I get a minute. If you have any other recommendations after you reassess him, let me know. Everly nodded and started gathering supplies. Dr. Morton turned back to Carter. I'll be back in a few minutes with the chaplain so we can talk. The chaplain. Carter knew exactly what that meant.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes. The chaplain.
The chaplain. Not good.
No. Wow. Oh, that's good. So everyone, you heard everything, and people are saying, like, here we have Sheila. She says, thank you for sharing. You are truly a blessing, and may God continue to bless you. Sandra said, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. That was a good, just on the tip right there to get your whistle a little bit. It's my husband. He said, good interview. Yep. And she said, good evening to everyone. And Vanessa said, ooh.
Amen.
Yes, everybody
God bless you.
So it's exciting. I can't wait to finish this book. Like, you want to finish it, but you don't want to finish it because you want the story to keep going. You want to be like, so. And
you don't want to rush because you're going to miss something. Don't rush.
Right. Like, I read that page, but there was a couple of lines that I said, oh, I didn't hear that part. You know, I was like that, so yeah.
And you never know what's going to be important till later, so don't miss anything. Take your time.
See, it's one of those beginning to end. You have to pay attention. Stay focused, guys. Stay focused. We got to. Yes, my friend Yvonne says, good stuff, sis. Yes, that's stuff right there. That is good stuff right there. And so everyone is asking, well, first of all, let's go here before I get to all the details about how to purchase it and everything.
Okay.
So you self-publish, and that's the big thing here. Self-publish. How did you go through that? And why did you make the decision to self-publish?
I remember being, I don't know, I remember 20, 25 years ago, publishing a book was something that, you had to really, it's like, how it is now, like you can go viral and be a singer or a rapper or whatever it is, an entertainer of some kind by virtue of social media and all kinds of do-it-yourself, like DIY websites and DIY clothing and all these things that are branding and things that we can do on our own now. And I decided to take advantage of that. Not too long ago, you had to pitch your idea to Penguin, Random House, Dorrance, who are some of the big names in Simon and Schuster. Like, you had to ask them for a chance, and they had to read through hundreds of manuscripts and decide and kind of pick and choose who's going to be the next star. Thank God for the advent of self-publishing. Thank God for social media. Thank God for DIY like Wix and GoDaddy and all these things where we can build our own brands. We can put a name out there for ourselves. We can go viral by virtue of being who we are.
Yeah.
And kind of, create our own future and our own destinies by all these avenues. So I decided to take that route. And I, at no time did I ever pitch my manuscript to any big name or I didn't even take that chance. I didn't even want to put it out there and then wait 8 months for a response or, only to say yay or nay. So I said, you know what, I'm going to self-publish this. And I'm going to, put it out there. I'm going to try to do what I can to build a brand and a name for myself. And God, I like I said earlier, I believe God will send the people that I need to help me move my brand forward and to help me move forward in this field. I believe that. And so, no, I didn't even try. I didn't even say, oh, let me write to Simon & Schuster just to see.
Yeah.
I could have done that, but I said, you know what? Why? When I have this avenue to market myself and put myself out there. And so that's why I chose to self-publish. When you self-publish, nobody can say no. When you self-publish, nobody can, no CEO behind a desk who doesn't relate to your experience. I'm a Black woman. I can't imagine trying to pitch my experiences as a Black female crime writer to the CEO of Simon Schuster. Only to have them say, you don't look like a crime writer, or I don't get that, energy from you. I have to be, someone with a law background or something like that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to self-publishing, I thank God for it. I thank God for any avenue that allows us, like YouTube, like your channel on YouTube, and any avenue that allows us to have our own TV shows or our own streaming shows, our own music, our own productions. We can get green screens and how big you want to go. And we can do that ourselves. And that's why I chose to self-publish. And I enjoy the company that I use is called BookBaby. They're a subsidiary of Amazon. And that staff is phenomenal. Honestly, when I would send a question or a concern within 24 hours, I had a response. So I will big up BookBaby all day. They did a great job catering to me. I gave them a 2 or 3 sentence idea for the cover, and what they came up with, I was very pleased.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had a great experience with them. So I'll recommend, BookBaby. I also know that Amazon there's also a subsidiary of Amazon called KDP, which I think is called Kindle Direct Publishing or something like that. Mm-hmm. But in order to use that, fair warning, you have to be pretty good with making your own covers. Like, you have to design your own cover to save money. You have to be good at the formatting and, all those things. You have to get all that done first, and then you give the whole total package to them and they publish it for you. So, but yeah, that was why I chose to self-publish, because I wanted the autonomy of, and I wanted to take control of my own brand and my own destiny, and not wait for anybody to say yay or nay.
Yeah. You know what? That's good. While you were talking, I remember it brings me back to the 80s and actually the 90s when they had mixtapes and
right? Yes, you had to hustle your own mixtapes out of the trunk of your car.
Right, Master P started out like that, and he, you know, and
MC Hammer, he did that too, dancing on street corners and trying to build a brand and make a name for himself. But today, if MC Hammer, if you were to transplant him to today, he could be a star overnight, and it wouldn't have took all of that. So God knows what He's doing with these social media and YouTube type platforms, StreamYard, like what we're using right now. There's also a podcast company called Anchor, where you can build your own podcasting and things like that. I'm here for it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yes, all of those things and all of that, right? And like to be able to do this, because I remember I started out with just Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I was using for a while. And
Right.
then after some time, my husband was like, why don't you ever do something live? No, a young
Mm-hmm.
lady actually that met, I interviewed her. I did her on Blog Talk Radio. And she says, why don't you go live? And I was like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
No. And she was
Right.
like, girl, you need to go live. That would be
Right.
good. And one day I just went live. My husband co-signed, and I was like, we're going to go live. And I was like, I can't go back,
Mm-hmm.
because I like
Right.
this platform. I like to be able to speak to someone face to face and everything. Now, my
Mm-hmm.
husband, it doesn't negate any Blog Talk Radio or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your thing, if you want to do radio like my husband does every Monday and Wednesday, he has a Blog Talk at noon. And so he does his Blog Talk, but that's where he's comfortable. And I'm comfortable. And you don't know. Like people get they have Facebook Watch where you have the red table talk, and you have on these platforms where people can go to social media and watch that stuff, and you don't have to have a subscription.
A big production team, right? Cameramen and all that.
I got my lights, I got a screen, and I'm like, okay, here I am.
Yep.
Wonderful. So now, everyone, the question is, how can they purchase your book? Where, how much is all that kind of stuff? Everybody.
Okay. The paperback is $16.99, and that is available on Book Baby's website. There's a link that I can post at some point after the broadcast.
What is it called? Is it called bookbaby.com?
Book Baby, yes. It's the Book Baby store.
Okay.
Also, it's available on Amazon Kindle and Barnes & Noble Nook, which are the e-readers for $4.99 on the Barnes & Noble website or the Amazon website.
Okay.
The paperback version of this book will not be available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble until October 5th. Okay. But the paperback version is available through the Book Baby bookstore right now, but it won't be in Amazon or Barnes & Noble stores until October 5th.
Okay.
So what I'm finding is that a lot of people have said to me, "Oh, can you sign the book?" I didn't, I don't like, okay, you want my signature? So one day it's gonna be worth something. So I'm flattered by that, and I'm floored by that, and I'm like, oh, that's of course I'll be glad to sign a book for you. So if someone wants to have me sign a book, you can inbox me, because the only thing is I can only take Cash App. Like I don't have. Like I told you earlier, we're building here. So one day I'll be like, oh, I'll take Visa, just scan this, whatever. I'll take MasterCard, PayPal. Right now I'll take Cash App. So I would be happy to sign a book for you, mail it out to you. I ship on Saturdays. But just, Cash App me the $16.99 plus. Well, I usually say just Cash App me $20. That's the book and the shipping. And I'll be glad to sign it for you. I will have an event in October that I'll keep you all posted about, because a lot of people bought the book, Glory to Jesus, and they're like, when are you going to have an event for us to sign, for you to sign it and for us to, get the book signed. So I want to maybe have something intimate, something small for those who have already purchased the book and just wants to have it signed. So that's how you get it, and just know that there's more to come. There's more to come. So follow me on Instagram, Chapter Jockey or Kea.Emerson. Follow me on Facebook, Kea Emerson, and TikTok, Kea Emerson. So you'll see all my attempts at marketing. I'm getting there. I'm not technologically savvy, but I'm trying.
Smoke and stuff. I said, okay, Kea, look at that. What you so people can, if they want to, they can Cash App you.
Right.
What's the Cash App though?
It's $ Kea Emerson, and you'll have to let me know where your address is and who the book is for, and like who I'm going to make it out to, and I'll be happy to do that. And I'll send them. I ship on Saturdays.
Okay, so this is her Cash App, Kea Emerson. On the book,
right?
She said it is $16.99. Is that what you said? Okay,
right.
Book Baby, $16.99. But let her know, and then she can hook you up, Kea Emerson, and make sure she's you friend her. It's Kea Emerson on Facebook, and I'm sure you guys can communicate some type of way. And
I do want to say one thing before we kind of wrap things up. I am so honored and privileged that so many people have purchased this book, I am just by virtue of supporting me. Like, I don't even know if they read, but they say, you know what, Kea, we're going to support you. You put yourself out there. I know it's going to be good. I'm going to go ahead and buy it. God bless you. And I want to say this: if you do read the book, please review it for me and post a review. Goodreads, post a review on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Inbox me, or under one of my ads, you can just kind of say what you want to say, because I really am interested in hearing how you all feel about what I have what I've put out there. So after you read it, please send me a review or post a review where I can see it and I can know your thoughts.
Oh, that would be very, very good. Yeah, I imagine a couple of people on here said they do want a book, so that would be great. Especially Yvonne Skinner. She lives in Philly, so I bet that's
okay.
more interesting for her to
go
read.
Eagles. Go Eagles.
So yeah, so this was wonderful. I am really glad that you came on this show to talk about.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is my first interview as a published author. I'm very privileged.
I love it. I love it. Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. So in the future, you could be like, I remember my first interview on yes. She's now on whatever now.
Tyler Perry or OWN, or I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there.
Let's do that. Let's just get it out there right now. Okay, guys, Up in Smoke. It's an awesome murder mystery. Kea Emerson. Emerson, please Cash App her your address, your name, your address, so that she can know where to send the book, or inbox her. You can go right on Facebook. I know most people are on Facebook, so go on Facebook and hit her up and get your book. Get your book. I'm telling you, it's very good. Yes. Someone's here said, may you be blessed tremendously, Kea.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Amen. All right, guys. Thank you once again. Everybody, hang in the huddle. Remember, there is no huddle block talk. Keep Pastor Eric in your prayers, and we will see you guys again on this Sunday. So we are out of here. God bless you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. God bless you all. Bye-bye now.